What's up everybody? Tiffany Outdoors here. Today I need to make a change. There's the hawk. Before there was a Tiffany Outdoors, there was Tiffany the farmer.
Follow U-turn when possible.
No, we're not U-turning.
Hi. Hi, what are you doing? Hi, Boo. What?
The change that I need to make is with my Crested Gecko. Now, the breeder that I got the gecko from said that this container would be good for the gecko up until about a year. And I've talked to another breeder, Wally. You guys, if you have any questions, just drop him a message. Go follow him on YouTube. He is under Supreme Gecko. And he also has a website, so go check him out. He has helped me so much with this gecko. I've learned things that I didn't find in any research that I've done. So I need to upgrade this gecko out of this tub here. And then I need to upgrade it from that tub. I'm going to put it in a bigger tub. And in the meantime, while it's in a bigger tub, that's going to be temporary. And then in the meantime, I'm going to be setting up a 20-gallon vivarium for it. So this little small one that I made, this one here that I made for the gecko, that's going to be too small. Because that is almost the same size as that container there. And plus I want it to be on display. So you can tell this shelf is full. I got storage up here, storage there. And then I have the gecko there, more storage. And then I have all of my vivariums there. And then down there I have all tarantulas. Over here I have my moss rack here. I've got other stuff, vivarium making supplies. And then I have all my isopods down here. And then there's more storage and more storage. And then that tub back there in that corner has plants. So where the heck am I going to put a 20-gallon vivarium? Well, let's flip over to this side. Boom. This right here is River's kennel. She doesn't spend a whole lot of time in here, just mainly when nobody's home or... and that's basically it. When nobody's home, we make sure she's in her kennel. Nice, safe. She can't get into any trouble while she's in her little kennel there. Like I said, she doesn't spend very much time in here. But this space on top here. So I'm going to put down a piece of wood, a solid piece of wood on top of this. And then I can move that there. That's a mealworm bin. And that's a mealworm bin there. But I can move that, put that on top of the other mealworm bin, and then set up my 20-gallon enclosure here. Now I have to be careful. I don't want to put too much weight on here. So when I build this out, it's not going to be super heavy with a whole bunch of substrate and stuff, because Crested geckos mainly like to stay up high in hiding. So it won't have a whole lot of substrate and a whole lot of heavy stuff in there. But I also want to have space for, I have another spider that is currently living on my dining room table, so I can move that there. And I also have my pumpkin patch there. I want to make another this one came with another enclosure, and I'm hoping that those two enclosures will also fit on top of here, and they won't weigh a whole lot either. So and like I said, I want to make sure I don't put too much weight on this, because this is a pretty large kennel for, you know, she's just a little dog. But I have a really large kennel for her. But yeah, so I have my piece of wood. Let's go cut it. Alright, I have this piece of board, And it's got a little bit of a crest in it. So I'm gonna put it with the crest going up so the hump will be on top. Now I think the width is going to be fine. I just need to cut some length off of it. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, the width is fine. So I just need to cut some of this length off. Alright. Here's what I'll do. Put this up against it. There we go. Yeah, this is going to work fine. I just need to cut some length off of it. I'm going to take this outside to my saw, cut it off, and then I'll be right back. There we go. It's still a little bit wet. I decided to go ahead and put some black stain on it so it didn't stick out like a sore thumb. So, it's still a little bit wet. I did wipe off as much of that ebony stain as I could. And y'all, although I did not record it, I actually used my router for the very first time. I wanted to put a round over softened edge on that, and I just did not feel like sanding, so I pulled out my router with a round over bit and just went across it just to soften those edges. I've had that router for probably 2 or 3 years, probably more, and today was the first time that I had the courage to use it. Now that's a tool that I have been intimidated by for the longest, and there's a reason why, and I'll show you later on when it gets time for a next project that I need or that I will use a router. I won't say need, that I will use a router because I will be using it more often. I'll show you why. But anyway, that being said, I used it for the first time. It worked out nicely. The only thing is I was rushing. And I put the wrong side up. So now there's a wobble. There's a wobble. Well, I could do 2 things. First thing, I could leave it as is and be like, oh well, that's just how it's going to be, and it's going to be alright. It doesn't have to be pretty or perfect. Or I can go ahead, do what I did on this side, and do it on this side, and let's see, there still will be a wobble. So, you know what? We're just going to live with it, okay? We'll just live with it. It'll be okay. Now, I have that set up. Now my task is to move this stuff. This is a toolbox, 2 toolboxes that usually stay in this spot all the time. I'm going to have to move this stuff out of the way. Now it's going to be in the way. And I've got some other goobble-de-gop stuff that doesn't go there anyway. A piece of wood there for another project that I was trying to work on. Ran out of time on that. Well, ran out of daylight. But anyway, that's a project for another day, that piece of wood. But anyway, back to this. I'm loving it. I love the stain. The stain looks fantastic. And like I said, the size works. And I'm just going to go with it. We're going to go with it. Now, the task of cleaning up the tank that I have. Now begins the task of cleaning this tank up. And there's like a lot of like deposits from fish tank water and stuff like that. And there's some like leftover substrate left in there and a little bit of sand in there from whatever the person had in the fish tank. So I've got my scraper there. I've got some water there. Now to get this thing cleaned up. And I thought this was a 20-gallon tank. This is actually a 29-gallon tank, which is even better. Even better. So I'm going to get this thing cleaned up really good. And then I'm going to set it on top of the board here and see how it sits up there. I may have to move some of this stuff that's up here on the wall. That painting I did for River, and that right there, that apple clock, is a clock that that was in my grandmother's kitchen. She's passed on now, but I have her clock from her kitchen, so I may have to move that. But and my poster there, my poster, I got that from a friend at work. Thank you so much, Roberta. And y'all, did I mention where I got this tank from? I got this tank from a friend at work. His name is Keith. Thank you, Keith, so much for this. My Crested Gecko is going to love this enclosure that I'm going to make out of this. But I'm going to set it up here after I get it cleaned up. But I got a few hours worth of work to get this cleaned up. And not only that, the frame came off the bottom side. So I'm going to have to silicone that back on, which is no big deal. That's super easy to do. I have plenty of silicone and experience on putting that stuff back together. Not a big deal. Alright, y'all, I'm gonna clean this up. This will probably take me the rest of the evening, and I'll cut back in tomorrow. And then I need to make fronts for this, my plexiglass fronts. So I'll cut back in after I get this thing cleaned up, and then we'll move on. All right, I'll see y'all when I see you. All right, y'all, I rescued a spider. I already take this and put this little kiddo outside. I don't know what kind of spider it is. Some little garden spider or something. And there's another little red creature crawling on my arm. And I don't know where it went. It's escaped. Alright, I'm going to take that outside, get rid of it. And I'm going to clean up this frame here. Flip this upside down. Go ahead and silicone that frame back on. And then we're going to come back in tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'm going to find homes for this other stuff down here. And then we'll go from there. And I'll test fit this up there. Guys, I want to show you something cool. Alright, now this tank, if I were going to be using this tank for fish, I would definitely reseal it, which is not hard. It's super easy and not a big deal. You can actually reseal any tank. A lot of people that get used fish tanks, actually they kind of recommend it. But since this frame fell off, you got to be careful, guys. If your frame comes off, these edges of glass down here are super sharp. They're not sanded like this glass here. Like this glass on the side here is not going to cut you. This down here, it will slice you. Yeah. So as I was wiping this down, I got a nice slice in my hand there. And it's still, ooh, pretty sore right there. So be careful. Also, another thing I wanted to show you. Look how old this tank is. Look at that. December 19th, 1994. Look at that. Sweet. So, I'm going to take off this old silicone. Oh, look at that. Product. Oh, built by Patty. Thank you, Patty. Obviously, you've done a very good job. This has lasted a very long time. Alright, I'm going to flip this upside down, take off this silicone that's coming off. And y'all, silicone doesn't last forever, okay? So, this is super easy to fix, not a big deal. I got my razor scraper. I'm going to take this, go along here very carefully without cutting myself again. Take off the old silicone, but just as easy as that. All the silicone that's sticking up, I'm going to take all of that off, and then I'm going to silicone the frame back on. I have the frame there, and there's a small crack in there. I'm not concerned about that either. Little dab of silicone in that corner, and put it on here, and then I'm actually I'm going to use that board, lay it across there, put some weight on it, and let it dry overnight, and then we should be able to start scaping this thing, or start trying to decide how I want to outfit this. So stay tuned for that. Look at that. Make sure you get all this old silicone off, because you want the frame to stick really well. If you leave that on there, it's not going to stick well at all. You may have to use several razor blades to get this all off. I've got all the old silicone off. Now I'm going to clean this up with some isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to clean up all edges, wipe it down, and then new silicone. Now to add my silicone. Bead along the sides here. Then I'm going to let this cure for 24 hours. Any squeeze out or anything like that, I can wipe that off then. And then we can start prepping this for our gecko. I'm just going to put on a couple clamps. I don't need it super tight. I just want to hold it in kind of firm. Like I said, not super tight. Okay, I'm going to let this set up for about 45 minutes. 45 minutes or overnight, and this will be dry. I can take these clamps off, and any squeeze out, I can take care of that then. And then, oh, all right. While that is dry, I'm going to come back tomorrow and we're going to move the gecko into the new larger enclosure temporarily until we get all of this stuff set up. I still don't know how I'm going to skate this tank, but I want to do something cool in there and have a cleanup crew because I do have some isopods that I can put in there, so that'll be awesome. And of course I still have to clean this up, find new places to put all that stuff. And that's about it. Alright, y'all. Time to move the gecko into its new temporary enclosure. It's the next day, and you see I got some cleanup to do, a little bit of squeeze out from the silicone. The frame is on there quite nicely, so you guys, wait until this stuff is dry before you clean it off. It makes it so much easier. All you gotta do, take a little razor blade. I'm gonna go along here, along the frame, here, and then like this. Yoop. So much easier once the stuff is dry. If you try and wipe this down when it's wet, oh, you'll just smear it everywhere and make a great big nasty mess. I want you guys to stay tuned for when I set this up. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and move the Crested Leonopteryx. Oh, I'm having a hard time saying its name. Leonopteryx. Moving her or him into the new temporary enclosure, which is this much larger bin. I gotta put some more holes in it and yeah, clean this up a little bit. So that'll be its new temporary home until we can get this set up. I'm going to do some pretty cool stuff with this one, and this will be the largest vivarium I've done yet. So I'm going to also, in the meantime, build the fronts for it, the door and the top piece, bottom piece. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, what I'll use is some plexiglass and make a front for it. And I've done that in another video. I'll find that video and link that in the description below so you can see how it's done. But yeah, stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.